Hey everybody, Radio Man here, and what I'm going to talk to you about today is Meshtastic. I know I've been talking about Meshtastic a lot lately, mostly because it's been interesting to me. Again, I reiterate this every video. I do not believe this is a replacement for amateur radio, GMRS, CB radio. I don't believe that at all. What I do think is that this is an interesting technology to deploy with people that I would say are non-radio people, people that aren't interested in getting in the hobby, but may have the need for communications. So my example being is that, um, say a concert, a festival, campground, a fair, a hiking trip, where having text-based communications and GPS geolocation services amongst a group of people that you can secure with AES-256 encryption. You can choose to share as much or as little location information as you want. It's very flexible within the app. Um, so Meshtastic operates in the 900 megahertz ISM band. It uses a technology called LoRa. I'm not going to get it too much into that, but Meshtastic uses software that operates over the LoRa radio protocol. So all you need is a phone. Well, excuse me. The phone is the graphical user interface, the human interface. Then you need a radio, a LoRa radio. This is a commercially purchased one made by a company called Seed Studio. I'll cover this in just a minute. So the challenge is, okay, and I'm not saying these are bad, the Bofang, or a commercial Motorola radio. I just don't have an example to show you guys. You hand these out to people. They don't want to talk into them. You can put the key lock on. They still manage to somehow screw them up, right? The only thing you can do with one of these is turn it off by accident. Even turning it off, you have to hold the button down for like 7 seconds to turn it off. So, same thing with this. There's two buttons. One to scroll the screen, and you can see messages on here. If you, for some reason, you don't necessarily need a phone. Like, I guess I don't know, you just wanted this, but there's no way to input information into. But you can see a compass rose on here. So if you're navigating your way to another device like this, it'll tell you like which direction to go. So the only thing you do is scroll the screen and turn it off. And it's difficult to turn off. This one I 3D printed. It's a Heltec V3. It's got a GPS in it, an external antenna, a belt clip. I 3D printed the whole thing. Very inexpensive. Like all this, like $30. I mean, I have a 3D printer, but you can buy these pre-made like this. What's cool about this is IP65. It's credit card size. It's obviously thicker than a credit card, but it has a lanyard on it, so you could clip it to a backpack strap, or, while hiking. So why do I think these? Well, and I'm also going to lump in like a Motorola radio, and I'm not even going to go down the road about quality and durability. I'm talking about deploying some radios, and I actually think this is pretty durable too. Don't get me wrong. But deploying radios to non-radio people, we'll use an example. Like you're at a campground, right? Signal's not good, or there's a lot of people concentrated in one area, and you need to have a way to, maybe you want to communicate with people in the group. Hey, we're having a campfire, cocktail hours in a little bit or whatever, and you're in different campers, right? People just don't want to talk into these. Then you got to have cables for them or have them pre-programmed ahead of time. People screw them up. Motorola radios, the batteries are expensive. Software is then that costs money, and then special cables. Encryption, depending on what you're dealing, with the commercial stuff, that gets more complicated, okay? So what I like about this stuff, if you had a handful of these and you showed up to a festival, and maybe you even downloaded ahead of time, right? You put the app on the phone, okay? And you hand these out and you Bluetooth them. Most people can figure out how to Bluetooth something, right? because even a non-radio person knows how to Bluetooth that Bluetooth speaker or Bluetooth earbuds, right? And then once this is Bluetooth to the phone, okay, um, the app operates just like any other group chat app you've ever used, like WhatsApp or Messenger on Facebook or any of those group chat apps out there. So people that are non-radio people, and the notifications pop up just like all your other apps, right? So I send a message to somebody and their phone goes boop boop, it buzzes or whatever. You look, oh, so simple to figure out. So simple to figure out for non-radio people, okay? The other issue you run into is that you got a bunch of these and not everyone can hear each other, right? So how do we solve that? Well, we get a simplex repeater. All right, that's more equipment you got to buy. And then you got to train people to wait until the simplex repeater's done talking, right? Okay, well, I'll build a repeater. Okay, you got to go out and get a set of cans. Even if you get a mobile flat pack, you're still going to spend $100 on cans. You got to put a repeater together, right? It's a pain in the bag. These all, once you've established a network, the network is scalable. And by that I mean is that you can make this network as big or as small as you want. And these all, even if I sent a message, I only got 2 hands, but pretend there's 3 of these, right? And this is the one in the middle, and there's another one over here we can't see. And the one in the middle can hear both nodes, but the 2 on the far ends can't. It'll relay the signal to every node in the network. So it's just text messaging. All right. So you can deploy these, and this for here is $38. It's IP65. It's got a GPS in it. It's got weather, like environmental sensors built into it. Now, granted, it has an internal antenna, but if you have, and I'll show you a picture here. Hold on a second. And it doesn't necessarily, hold on a second. So this is my node on my truck. There's magnets on it, and it mag mounts to my roof. So you have a high gain antenna, right? And you could pull that off the roof of your truck. You could stick it over on the roof of your tent or wherever you are. But that is also part of your network. So as long as you have a few other devices that you control, right, that are your own, you put a few devices out there, like this with the external antenna. You could go stick this up in a tree, right? Just put it up in a tree, put it up on the roof of something. It's got a external antenna, so it's got a little bit better range. It's going to pick up the slack for these little devices. I mean, you could still issue these to people too. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I made a couple notes here. I just want to make sure that I was covering a few things. So yeah, low cost. So the cables on these are like, that's USB-C, cheap and ubiquitous, right? USB cable. This has a magnetic hookup for the charging so that it maintains its waterproof abilities. But the cable's like $3 if you had to buy it. If you're into 3D printing, you can make your own cases. You can even print waterproof cases. This is not waterproof. Ease of use. You don't need any prior knowledge to operate this. And I'm going to get to a real world use case scenario. The network is scalable. I think I'd mentioned that earlier. And it's easy to make a quick and cheap network. You go out and buy a bunch of used Motorola DMR radios, you're going to be into some serious coin. Serious coin. Just to get a half dozen of them. Right? I could get a half dozen of these and get a network rocking and rolling that could cover 4.5 miles. Not very difficult. For these are $38. Okay? So you get a few of these, like you're talking a couple $100, and I'm talking even putting together a base node that you could have all ready to go in like a a pack out type box. You know what I mean? For a few $100 versus probably spending $1,000 trying to get outfitted with Moto turbo radios. And you have AES 256 encryption. You don't need a repeater. No need for an exam. No license. It's license free. So, use case. I have a home node. I'll show you a picture of it real quick here. Don't mind me looking away from the camera, but I just got to bring something up. That's my node at home. It's on the ground. Right now, it's currently 75 feet up in a tree. There's a solar panel, a waterproof NEMA box. There's an antenna that you can't quite see in that picture. That's 75 feet up in the tree, okay? I've already shown you my truck node here, just to show you a couple of things. Oh, I did slip up on one thing. So that QR code there, all right, let me go back to the... I set up my device with our family's group chat, right? And there's an encryption key. Well, to make that key secure, the only way for me to exchange the key is face to face. Use that QR code you just saw. So when I set my phone up and you tell someone in your family or your friend, hey, download the Meshtastic app, they're like, okay, great, now what? Once they've downloaded the Meshtastic app, you can put the QR code up on your phone and they take a picture of the QR code. Now their device is programmed. And the other cool thing is that if you're Bluetooth to one of these, your friend or your family can still use their Bluetooth audio device. You can have two connections going. So they can still play music when they're out, out in the boat or whatever they're doing. They can still play their music. And they can be Bluetooth to this. So I wanted to mention that QR code because of the whole programming thing. Us radio people know what programming, how much of a pain in the ass it is, right? So you get to where you're going and you want to deploy a bunch of these real world use case scenario. I got a couple of these because I thought that my wife and daughter would much prefer having to keep one of these on their, like you slip in a pocket, you can put it on a backpack strap, you're at a festival or whatever. I thought that this would be better than this. Even though this has better properties, with my existing network that I was trying to get about 4.5 miles of coverage in the community that we live in, I thought this was the way to go. So I programmed them. They downloaded it. They took a picture of the QR code. Okay, now they have my encryption key. Only the people I have my private key, and we've established their phone's all programmed. I didn't have to show my wife and daughter how they know how to reply to a text message. So we went out, my daughter and I, to run some errands yesterday, and she had this just sitting in the center console of the truck, and we were 4.5 miles away at the grocery store. Now this doesn't have an external antenna, but it's talking to the solar node on the roof of my truck. And that's talking back to my base node at home that's 75 feet up in a tree. And my wife's radio is talking from inside, sitting on a coffee table. It's talking to my base node outside the house. So these little rinky-dink credit card size things are taking advantage of the scalable network that I just built and communicating 4.5 miles away, sharing text message, secure AES-256, and secure location data. My daughter took this into the store with her, and she was able to communicate because it's a short distance. We're only a few hundred feet away, and it's 900 megahertz. 900 megahertz has good properties with, penetration with buildings. Able to talk to the node in the parking lot and still communicate 4.5 miles away. You're not talking 4.5 miles one of these inside a grocery store. Maybe on a repeater. The point I'm getting at is where I probably will end up being someday. I think I'm going to get a few more of these. And I'm going to get one of those Harbor Freight Pelican boxes with an inexpensive solar panel and an octopus of USB cables. And I can keep this on a shelf. No matter what the scenario is, it could be good time, drinking beers, camping. It could be the power's out for 4 days and the cell phones aren't working where I live, I'm kind of on a family compound here with other family. I could hand a few of these out to family on the fly. And one thing I'm probably going to do too is I'm going to probably download the Meshtastic app and have a cable for like Android and iPhone, so I can actually, if the ability to download the app from the internet is not possible, I can provide it locally. But now I've handed these out to people, and like I said, being on, I said like a quasi family campground compound here, like are my neighbors or family. I already know I can communicate to the local grocery store in town. So am I going to have any problems communicating a half mile up the road with these? Nope. And that family member who's not a radio person can use their phone, say, hey, can you come up here? I need a hand with something. We got a frozen pipe, whatever. So anyways, I want to wrap the video up there. I kind of want to talk about this, and I don't know. Hopefully some of this makes sense to you guys. So anyways, Radio Man out.